Out of this paper. The state tag actually was the same as one of the federal tags. So when we go through it, you'll see what I'm talking about. The F stands for federal. The tag number is the number, and then I've given a description of what that means, what deficiency we got. All of these had to do with pretty much just not following procedures. We have procedures in place. They didn't get followed, plain and simple. The first one that I'm going to talk about is 157. That has to do with notifications to the doctor regarding weight loss and blood sugar changes. Really, I didn't do any changes with our notification policy, and you probably should all have a copy of the policies too. If you don't, you can always make more copies. I did not do many changes with the policies per se. I just want to really review what our policies are so we're all aware of, how we're supposed to do this for future reference. I do want to say that since we got these tags this year on our state survey, we better not have them next year. And the reason why I say that is because if we do get tagged on this again next year, it could be a heavier deficiency, or a fine. They expect our plan of action to correct all of these problems. So when they come back next year, luckily they're not coming back in another 30 to 45 days. They're not going to make a return visit until our next annual survey, unless we have a complaint or something like that. But we should not have these pop back up next year. In fact, my goal, again, is perfect survey. We're shooting for perfect again. Okay? We can't have another one of these years. Okay? So let's talk specifically about what the problems were. F-157, what happened was we had several residents who had showed a weight loss, and we didn't follow the policy in notifying the physician when they had their weight that showed up in one of these parameters here. So it says in 1 month, 5% in 1 month, 7% in 3 months, 10% in 6 months, we need to notify the physician. And that didn't happen. One, I couldn't determine whether a fax was sent in to the doctor or that we documented anything in the record that notification happened. That's what I was looking for as proof to say, hey, no, yeah, we did. Here's a fax report to show we did. I couldn't find it anywhere. Okay, so as we all know, and as we all have been trained in nursing school and also in CNA classes, is that if it isn't documented, it was never done. Okay, so that is number one. The CDM, which is Marcia, CDM stands for Certified Dietary Manager. What will happen and what has been happening, but I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page. When you get this report in your email, it comes from Marcia. She sends it to me, and then I forward it to all of you. It'll give the description of what resident had the weight loss, what the percentage of the weight loss was, and then what measures we're taking to help prevent that weight loss from continuing to happen. I know that some of our nurses, really, all of you know your residents very well. If you have a resident that has a weight loss, a lot of times you kind of know why they have the weight loss. It's not enough for you to know why they're having the weight loss and to document it, but we still have to follow the policy and notify the physician that, hey, there's a weight loss here. According to policy, I need to notify you. You can jot down notes about why you think that they've had weight loss. I don't have any problem with that because it's very legitimate. Maybe they've had surgery, maybe they have edema, and they've recently lost a lot of water weight, and there you go. So it's probably good that you let the physician know those types of things anyway, but it's not enough to just know in your head that this is why it's happening, it's okay. You still need to notify the physician.
So I have a question, sorry. In the past when we used to do the summaries, like we would get a sheet of their weights and it would say, how much weight, it was 5% or whatever. And so then whoever that nurse was that was doing that summary was responsible to notify the doctor of that weight loss.
That's if that happens monthly though, right?
Right, well, my question is, like, is somebody specific gonna be responsible, like, to get that email and, or is it just in general, or?
No, it's in general, and what, I think it needs to be general. I think that if we assign it to a particular person,
Right.
what happens when that person goes on vacation,
Sure.
or what happens when that person, something happens and they're not here, that's where the downfall happened with another tag that we'll get to,
Right.
and I'll explain why we have to have backup, and this is our backup. Everybody is knowledgeable. We have to extend our communication during reports about, hey, I took care of this, you know. We keep our confirmation fax reports so that the next nurse coming on can see, okay, it looks like Angie notified the physician on this weight loss, check mark, we got it done. Also, another part of that is I'm going to be following up after I get these reports to make sure that the notifications are happening. In fact, you, Angie, will be part of that process. Okay? Hi, darling. Come on in. I have to share a paper at this point, or Amanda, can you make
Nancy
some
Carroll
copies?
can share.
Yep. We've got a test, though, that everybody has to take, so we'll have another copy made. Anyway, the process will be, the CDM gets the report to me. I make sure you guys get the report in an email. What you do with that information, and I know one of the nurses in here, I don't know who, can't remember who it was, cut out Marcia's report, pasted the resident's information on the fax report, and faxed it into the doctor. That's fine, because it lists everything that the doctor needs to know anyway. That's fine. But the last step is the nurse has to go to the ID notes or the nurse's notes and make a notation that they notified the doctor. And that's what was missing. Well, the other part was missing too, but it's also very good to have that documentation. So review your notification policy. Also, your weight policy is in your packet here. It does outline specifics in there on who to notify, when, and all that. The next F tag combines F-157 and F-282. This one has to do with notification to the physician on blood glucose monitoring. Luckily, we only had one diabetic resident, I believe, down there that had a sliding scale when State was here. Since we only had one, they didn't go digging anywhere else and potentially could have found more problems. So what happened was we had a resident who had many blood sugars that were out of range. They were over 350. The order, I think, specifically read to call the MD if blood sugar is over 350. 1 out of 19, maybe? Well, actually, 19 out of 21 of those readings were over range. 1 out of 19, we notified the doctor. I don't even know what to say about that, really. I know that we get sidetracked and we lose our focus and things happen during your shift, but you gotta have some sort of backup system to where you're documenting, hey, I gotta notify MD, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I know that the condition reports are wonderful for that. A lot of you have other means that, you tally things so that you don't forget things throughout your shift. A lot of this, girls, I don't think I have any men in here right now, except for you. It is the charge nurses, but I want the CNAs here so that they're hearing what happened. You guys all have been here for a long time. Some of you are newer, but you all need to hear what the problems were and how we can correct these problems. Because I do not want another survey like this. To sit in there with that room, and I know some of you were part of that process, and I know how it feels to be on the other side of those questions and things, and it's difficult. And to be able to explain what happened, what went wrong, why did we do something, it sucks. It sucks. So we need to improve. Those are simple things. Those are completely avoidable. These are easy fixes, guys. Really easy. It should not be. It's not going to be a big problem to fix our mistakes. So that's the good part. okay? These are not issues where we've had harm on a resident, okay? All of these tags were D-level tags, which indicate it's the lowest possible deficiency you could possibly get, okay? It's one right above perfect survey. So that's the good news. It's not real bad. Yeah.
We don't have like a policy saying like if the blood sugar is over 351, we notify the doctor always, or it's just those are just the doctor's orders.
The doctor's orders,
Okay.
and that's
I
why
just
it
wanted to
says
make
F282 here too, because we didn't follow physician's orders.
Okay.
We didn't follow our policy on notification, and we got another tag on the same issue because we did not follow physician's orders. Okay, so 2 tags on one problem, just bad. Okay, I think we've killed that one. 282. This one had to do with a lab that was ordered by the physician. And again, this is 282. This is another tag pertaining to not following physician's orders. What happened here was a lab order was received. The order was transcribed on the order sheet by the nurse, but that order then did not get transcribed to the MAR. The lab requisition didn't get filled out and sent on to lab, so they knew to order to draw the lab. So there was some downfall. There was downfall in that process, and that's why the order didn't get carried through. Mistake, human error, that's what you chalk it up to. But I think we all have to do a better job in how to remedy this problem. Is we all have to do a better job of checking that envelope that you keep in your nurse's station that has all the new orders in there. For the first 24 hours, all those orders need to be checked by each nurse that comes on. So if the order comes through on the day shift, the nurse that writes it obviously is going to do the job and carry it through to the end, but then the day shift or the evening shift nurse comes on, their responsibility is to look at that order, verify it, look to make sure that it's been transcribed to the correct places, write their initials on it, put it back in the envelope for the night shift. After that night shift nurse sees it, then I can get it. But at least we've got 3 checks to ensure that that order has been transcribed correctly into the right places, so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen, because this is completely avoidable. Completely avoidable. Any questions about 282? The labs. Again, we don't have to do very many major changes with any of these. We just have to follow our policies, the way they're written. F314. This one I spent 4 out of the 5 days, and not just me, but Angelique was in there, Amanda was in there. I think the doctor was involved with this one. The wound clinic was involved with this one. This one took the majority of our time. This one had to do with a skin assessment that was not done timely. Charge nurses failed to initiate a skin assessment of a pressure ulcer that was discovered on 4/18 by the doctor. This was Mrs. Corey's heel. She had a blister on her right side of her foot, okay? The staging sheet was given to the nurse for the doctor to see on the 18th. It said right foot. The doctor was to see the right foot. So, he saw the right foot. And on the right foot, he noted that there was a pressure ulcer on the base of the heel. So the downfall there is, one, we need to be more specific when we're titling where our wounds